baseball.
From First Data Field in Port St. Lucie, Florida, it's the New York Mets against the Miami Marlins. Spring training on SNY is presented by Citi. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Citi, proud partner of the New York Mets. By Geico, over 75 years of savings and service. By Toyota, save big all March during Toyota's Ready, Set, Go sales event. Toyota, let's go places. And by Verizon, the most awarded network is now the best streaming network. Port St. Lucie, Florida, the spring training home of the Mets since 1988. And First Data Field, one of many names the ballpark has had, but its latest variety with fans coming in. Still a large assortment of players in camp this spring as the Mets get ready soon to make some cuts. But Yoenis Cespedes taking his cuts here this afternoon, back in the lineup for the Mets. With Ron Darling and Keith Hernandez, I'm Wayne Randazzo in for Gary Cohen today. And Ronnie will see a debut for the Mets, or re-debut at least. Jason Vargas is on the mound, his first attempt this spring.
You know, Jason had a fantastic year with the Royals last year. 18 wins, 11 losses, and I think in today's game, it's so important for almost every team to have depth in their starting rotation. That's why he was signed. 2-year contract for $16 million. Outstanding year, and he'll provide that depth for that vaunted pitching staff.
You see his stats with the Royals in 2017. Was an all-star back from Tommy John surgery, an 18-win season for Jason Vargas. And as the Mets get ready to roll through spring training, some nagging injuries have come about. Yoenis Cespedes had one of those with a shoulder injury, and for Cespedes, he's back in the lineup today after he ripped a home run in the game on Sunday.
Well, Sunday he went 2 for 3 also, but hit a bomb to left field. Here's the home run right here. He looks in fine form. His conditioning program has changed. Less bulk, more lean and agile. Let's see how that goes. He missed half the season last year. The Mets can ill afford to not have him in the lineup. He is such a big part. He provides the pop. He's a clutch hitter. They need him to play at least 140 games.
He missed it right down the middle. 81 games for Cespedes in 2017. But a step in the right direction for the Mets today with a full lineup on a beautiful day in Port St. Lucie. We're at First Data Field, and it's the Mets and Marlins coming up. Seth Lugo come in after Jason Vargas. I'm sure an extended effort for Lugo today, at least a couple of innings. Plus some of the A relievers, Jerry Familia, Jerry Blevins, and A.J. Ramos, all expected on the mound this afternoon for the Mets as they take on a division rival that looks a little different, the Miami Marlins, here in Port St. Lucie today. Look at that. Bring your daughter to work day, evidently, here at First Data Field. Jason Vargas's first pitch in his return to the Mets, a strike to Braxton Lee, and we are underway here in Port St. Lucie at First Data Field.
Well, Vargas, 35 years old, coming off his best year at 18 and 11, 85 and 81 in his career in 228 big league starts.
Not a hard thrower, Ronnie. Changeup, control pitcher. Had Tommy John surgery a couple years ago. Last year was his first season back from that surgery.
Braxton Lee pops one toward the gap and gets a base hit to start the day. That's Matt Dendecker kicking it back to the infield for the Mets, and Lee aboard to start for Miami. Here is the Toyota Marlins starting lineup with JT Realmuto, Starlin Castro, and Justin Bour representing the Marlin regulars. Whatever's left of the Marlins regulars from their trades the last 6-7 months or so. Miguel Rojas rounding out the lineup, playing short today. JT Riddle, the expected everyday shortstop, should be back in the next couple of weeks. Had shoulder surgery in the offseason. There's Realmuto, and who knows how long he's going to be a Marlin.
Oh. Well, he's trying to get out of there. I know that. Doesn't have enough games in, time and energy in to be able to do that, to request. So he might be stuck there all season long. Hang with him.
A fairly cheap option, too, especially after he lost his arbitration case.
Well, that's what you'll see from Jason, is that in every situation that calls for a fastball, he will throw his changeup. He almost pitches backwards, folks. One of the pitchers that we play with, Bobby Ojeda, very much like that. Slow, slow, and slower in critical situations.
Back! Do it.
Well, left-hander can get away with the off-speed pitching, and the key to all the left-handers, Ronnie, that you've experienced, that you've seen, and I've experienced at the plate against the right-handers, the successful ones that change speeds, pitch inside, establish in.
That was about 11 years ago at this time, 2007, when Jason Vargas was trying to crack the Mets rotation back then. Ended up spending all of that year at AAA outside of 2 starts that he made at the big league level, and then a torn labrum took him out of 2008. That was his tenure with the Mets, 07-08.
Well, I don't think there's it's a coincidence that he's with this ball club. His pitching coach for the past few seasons has been Dave Island. Dave wanted him over here.
Yeah, he was part of the 2014 Royals World Series run. He was hurt for most of 15. He should be playable for somebody. Jay Bruce, who's been dealing with some plantar fasciitis in camp, making the catch.
And a quick look at your Lexus Met defense. Matt Dendecker, welcome back. He's been kind of bounced around. He is back in left field. Jay Bruce in right. Jose Reyes, his second start at shortstop. Surprisingly this early. I know they're home games and you want to put your A team out there, but Mr. Callaway has run his starters out there early this spring.
Batter is Starlin Castro as Vargas throws over. I know Mickey's said that he's wishing for about 60 spring games this year to get used to the new team, new players. I know you guys feel probably similarly.
Listen, I didn't know who Kevin Kosmarski was until spring training. Now I know all about him. Playing every day.
Runner going, throw to second from Plawecki. A good throw, but Braxton Lee's got great speed and he was able to just get ahead of it. Stolen base for Lee.
Well, he had a chance at him. Not a great jump, and the throw is accurate, just not enough on it to catch the speedy Lee.
Started his slide a little early there. Had 20 stolen bases last year in his time in Double-A, Jacksonville Double-A, and Montgomery Double-A.
Castro, it's a little dribbler that Plawecki pounces on. And there's 2 down in the first. Lee holds it second.
A little warm today. What's the temperature? 86? How did I know that?
There it is. 86. It's a number that pops up every now and then on these broadcasts.
Can always tell when it's going to be hot, Wayne. I wake up in the morning around 7:30, believe it or not. I'm not lying. And I step out on my balcony, and if it feels warm, it's going to be a hot one, and it felt warm this morning.
Batter is Justin Bour. It takes a big wallop, and it's a little dribbler foul.
Well, here's someone I like a lot, and last year in 108 games hit 289, hit 25 home runs, drove in 83, moved on top of the plate. Like his swing. He is a power hitter and a real threat up there.
His problem is staying on the field. 2 years ago he had that high ankle sprain, and then last year of course he missed all that time.
And an oblique injury that took him out for about 6 weeks late last summer.
It doesn't look like he's doing too many sit-ups to me.
He's a big guy, man. He got to come up here and pinch both of them.
He's a monster.
Lee is running, and Bour pulls one into the shift. As Dribble Cabrera playing second today throws out Bour. And Jason Vargas works around the leadoff base hit. A 0 for the Marlins at the top of the first. The Mets coming up in Port St. Lucie. Out hitting second today, Yoenis Cespedes is the designated hitter. Jay Bruce has had some foot trouble so far in camp, but he's out there right field batting third. The new guys, Frazier and Gonzalez, in the middle as well for the Mets as they face one of the new top prospects in the Marlins system, Sandy Alcantara.
One of the prize prospects they got from the Cardinals in the Marcell Ozuna trade. There's two pitchers that the Cardinals developed who could throw 100. Alex Reyes, who's going to be coming back soon. He'll play a big part with the Cardinals, and Sandy Alcantara, who throws plus 100. Good slider, still working though on some of his secondary pitches.
And the Marlins made pretty good on a couple of those trades, the Ozuna and Yelich trades specifically.
Well, they've been sounding the trumpets how they picked up 13 of the top 30 Major League Baseball minor league prospects. So they're definitely rebuilding. They're starting from scratch in the very image of Derek Jeter. That is for sure. He is not beloved right now in Miami.
Well, he'll get there, you figure.
Yeah.
Asdrubal Cabrera leading off for the Mets. He's been in the leadoff spot a few times so far this spring. Mickey Callaway is far from setting an opening day lineup, about 4 weeks out right now, but seems like he likes Cabrera 1, Cespedes 2 so far in Kent.
Well, that's the new sabermetric or analytics spot in the order where they said the number 2 hitter gets the most opportunities, and I'm sure they've got to separate that from the DH in the American League because there's no pitcher to get in the way. I can buy it if there's a designated hitter and you got a hitter in the 9-hole, but not in the National League where a pitcher hits in the 9-hole.
It's all about getting on base for the number 1 man in the order, and Cabrera has done just that.
Miami, Mercedes-Benz defense. Cameron Maben, they just picked him up not too long ago. The veteran right fielder, outfielder. Lee, you just saw lead off. Got some speed. Justin Bohr, I like. Starlin Castro, the former Yankee Cub. Miguel Rojas at shortstop, who was a thorn in the Mets side last year. Had a nice year in spot play.
Here's Cespedes, game number 2 this spring for him. We showed you a home run he hit on Sunday in his first contest. And he sat out a few days. Takes a strike here from Alcantara. Some shoulder soreness. Says it's no big deal. Something that he goes through every spring.
Boy, he's all armored up too, isn't he? Can't hurt that elbow. I dare you to try.
Late on the fastball there from Alcantara.
This kid's all arms and legs coming at you. You know, you think about where he's developed. You know, he's a couple of years away, but you can't go past when you get a prospect like this that the upside is just so huge.
Just 21 years old. He was in Double-A last year. Trying to pound that inside corner to Cespedes.
Yes, he was. He was 7-5 in Double-A, Wayne, and 22 starts, 125 innings.
What I don't like is less strikeouts than innings pitched. You usually don't see that when a kid has this kind of fastball. So control issues.
21 years of age.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? I remember a young Ron Darling that came up in that first year.
That's Cespedes to chase, strike 3.
We don't have to bring that up, do we?
Did you lead the league in walks?
In my second year.
That's what I thought.
104.
But then he became very refined.
Dwight went 24-4 that year. It was the only thing you could lead the league in that he didn't lead.
Yeah, you just wanted some black ink, that's all. I get it.
Good slider there by Alcantara.
So that was one of the most fun things, Wayne, about when I was joined the Mets and all that young talent came up, was watching their progression. But remember, Ronnie was a real hard thrower. I mean, I don't. Ronnie probably doesn't think so, but I always thought he had a good fastball up and in, and just was just a little. It was raw, and to watch him become a pitcher that knew what he was doing, had control, can do anything. That progression was fun to watch. It was over a short period of time too.
Did you ever face him?
I don't remember.
Well,
I don't think so.
We'd always do it like pitchers face the hitters in spring training, but the hitters don't really want to hit in spring training.
Jay Bruce hooks one toward the right field corner. Cabrera's on his way to third. As Cameron Maben digs it out, Bruce has a double. The Mets have 2 in scoring position.
Jay is off to a rollicking start. He is really swinging the bat well early, likes that ball down. And this is something you're going to see with the Mets. There's not a lot of extra bases that are going to be taken.
But the hitters don't really want to hit in spring training.
Jay Bruce hooks one toward the right field corner. Cabrera is on his way to third as Cameron Maben digs it out. Bruce. So RBI chance for Todd Frazier.
Are we in a tunnel? Is there an echo?
You know, it's spring training for everybody.
Well, spring training, right?
Even in the old truck.
Those young Turks in the truck.
That's a hostile takeover in there from what I
thought
understand.
they were infallible.
Fort Pierce Emmy Award winner down the drain.
Frazier will knock in a run. Cabrera comes home as Rojas throws out Frazier. And the Mets are on the board. RBI for the Mets cleanup hitter today, Todd Frazier. That's why Todd Frazier was signed. This guy too, Adrian Gonzalez, to drive in runs, albeit with an out there. But middle of this Mets order, at least from the beginning of the season, you figure will have a very veteran presence, highlighted by Frazier and Gonzalez.
Well, they added power. This is a professional hitter right here, Adrian Gonzalez. And a good glove at first.
Gonzalez has won a Gold Glove in his career. Been to a handful of All-Star games. No doubting his credentials, but you know, he's 35. He'll be 36 pretty soon. Had a bad back last year. Question is, how much is left in the tank?
So as you see, is with the young pitchers, you're watching the catcher set up inside, the ball's outside. He sets up outside, the ball's inside. So he's just not at a point where he can throw it where he wants to. Multiple signs with the runner on second.
Boy, the diving stop actually deflected that ball, and it's Castro who throws to the pitcher to retire Gonzalez. That'll be a 3-4-1 put out at first. The Mets are on the board after an inning. couple of hits. Cabrera scored the first run of the game, and now Jason Vargas back to work. Ball 1 to Garrett Cooper, getting the start in left field today. Cooper had a great year at AAA, playing in the Brewers system. Ended up with the Yankees by the end of last year.
Boy, I'll say he had a year. Geez, 366.
A thin air in Colorado Springs, Keith.
Yeah, 75 games, only 17 bombs and 82 ribeyes. Ribeye steaks.
Big league name too, huh? Garrett Cooper.
That's the strong silent type.
That's what almost what Ralph used to call Gary Carter.
That's right.
Sure, it came across once or twice.
Oh yes.
Ralph used to always call him Gary Cooper. More than a few times.
Cooper did play in 13 big league games for the Yankees. Hit .326 even in his brief major league action last year.
Oh.
Vargas looked back at the mound after that bouncer.
Well, you're going to have that happen from your pitchers. You know, we were trying to explain why you got so much from Yelich and the Ozuna trade, less for the Stanton trade. You know, Stanton's contract.
That ball's hammered. Kazmarski gives it a look, but Garrett Cooper has delivered a home run to get the Marlins on the board here in the second.
This kid's trying to win a job.
A lot of that in Marlins camp this spring, and Cooper, who certainly had the AAA credentials to get some big league time this year, delivered a poke against Jason Vargas.
What's this pitch, Keith? Changeup?
Fastball, I think, huh? I think he jumped on trying to get an inside fastball, and he just said, pointed his hand back to Milwaukee and said, "You relax, I got this one."
Our camera person, Diane, got waffled the other day from Guillorme, but it missed our camera people today. There's Diane.
Diane's got the helmet.
He's got to get the helmet. Come on.
106 degrees inside that helmet.
Tomas Talise, the hitter. Cabrera will charge in. Get Talise by a step. Well, Jason Vargas is right. He gets a lot more ground balls than he does fly balls.
You know, that's a good call. I was going to ask Keith, you know, the Mets are a little older. You were talking about they're not going to go the extra base and score.
No.
But how about their defense? Will it be athletic enough defensively for a guy like Vargas?
I think they've improved, obviously, with Rosario at shortstop. That's you got to be strong up the middle. I think it allows. I think Sandy Alderson felt with Rosario's range up the middle, he can afford to move Cabrera to short, who's getting older and has lost a step. Doesn't have great range at second, but played a real tremendous third base. You've got a former Gold Glover in Gonzalez. That's going to drop. He's going to get thrown out.
Cameron Maybin out at second.
How did I know that?
Seen a few games.
Usually I'm the last to know.
Well, I mean, off the end of the bat, good hustle by both Gonzalez and Bruce to get over there. Bruce, of course, always has a good arm and a sound arm. Accurate arm.
Absolutely. Nice throw. Perfect. Yes, sir. But anyway, back to the defense. Gonzalez has lost range. He's 30, going on being 36 this year, but a fine glove. Anything he's going to get to is going to be solid. He's going to scoop the bad throws out of the dirt. Former Gold Glover. And Todd Frazier is an upgrade. I mean, he's a solid third baseman. So, well, last year I felt the Mets defense was really abysmal. And when you have a pitching staff, I mean, I don't want bombers up there where you're going to club people to death. That's great if you can find both. But if I have good pitching, I want defense behind my pitchers.
Fouled away by Brian Anderson, who could be the opening day third baseman for the Marlins. Martin Prado had knee surgery. He's hoping to be ready by the first game, but Prado's been a guy who barely played the last couple of seasons, especially last year, just 37 games. So Anderson could get some time at some point. Look, another one of our camera people over there had a chance to grab that ball. Tad, what happened?
Tad, what happened? You got hands of stone.
He's always bragging about how good his hands are, too. I hear him by the truck.
Vargas missing the inside corner.
Brian Anderson from the University of Arkansas, 24 years old, so it's about that time that he makes his move.
Good pitch by Vargas. Going to that changeup down and away to retire Brian Anderson, and a strikeout caps the second in the tie game. Jose Reyes starts the bottom of the second and takes ball one from Sandy Alcantara, where Reyes is getting the start today. Ahmed Rosario has the day off. 145 games played for Reyes last year. That's not a number the Mets necessarily want to see this year.
Well, the Mets bench has much improved. I think this is the best bench that they've had in quite some time. And Jose is going to be part of that. When Conforto comes back, will only strengthen the bench.
Castro and Maben. As Castro backs up, makes the catch to retire Reyes.
The only issue, I think, that because of camp jobless, the guys in at IMG that are working out that are free agents that don't have a job, at some point teams are going to sign some of these veteran players, and they're going to end up having some benches that are much better than they've been in the past.
Camp jobless. You think they got T-shirts that they're wearing in Fort Lauderdale for that?
Why not?
Kevin Milwaukee goes the other way with a base hit.
Well, Kevin continues to have a nice spring. He's been going the opposite field, up the middle to the right side. I like that. That's a strength for him. And I do believe he's leading the Mets in RBI so far this spring.
He's got 4 runs batted in so far. That's tied for 5th in the Grapefruit League. Keith, you really did your homework.
He's had a lot of playing time, Kazmarski here, Kevin, young Kevin.
Yeah, I think he's leading the Mets in games played this spring so far. Kazmarski spending most of last year at AA Binghamton. Mets certainly need some outfield depth. That's why Dendecker and Zach Bornstein were brought into camp as well. Dendecker on deck. We heard rumors about Wilmer Flores getting some time in the outfield. We have not seen him in a game yet.
I think Wilmer should stay in the dirt, personally.
I've always said you stick around long enough in this game and you think you've seen it all. You haven't. I think Wilmer is better suited in the infield, don't you, Ronnie?
Yes, of course.
And I think Wilmer's aware of that too. But Wilmer's he's a team guy, and the Skip asked him to take some balls. He's willing to try it. His playing time is going to be a little diminished this year. He can play all 3 infield positions. Not all 3 of the 4. He can even play shortstop. So he's going to get some playing time. You'll see a lot of left-handers this year. I guarantee you that.
Now, regardless of who ends up at first between Gonzalez and Smith, Flores will be the one facing all the lefties playing first base, you'd figure.
Well, if Dominic doesn't go north because he's a setback with the injury, we don't know the extent of it when he'll be back in. He may start in AAA. Who knows?
What's he got, a quad injury?
He got a quad. Okay. That's not as serious as they thought it was. Wilmer will be the backup second baseman, and at 36, going on 36, Adrian Gonzalez. So he's going to need some spelling, some spell time.
Castro trying to start a double play, and he gets the out at first to end the inning. That's got a base hit from Kevin Plawecki, but that's all here in the second. This spring.
Our director Dan Barr. Hello.
Oh, future ball player. What a beauty.
She's already given orders.
And it is a beautiful day to bring the kids out to the ballpark here at First Data Field. Jerry's Familia takes on the mound here in the third after Jason Vargas worked the first 2 innings.
Well, 2 years ago, after setting the record for saves for the Mets, Familia had kind of a nightmare winter and year last year with injuries, etc., and trying to turn that around this year.
I believe he will.
51 saves in 2016, 47 in 15. As Miguel Rojas starts the third inning. Mickey Callaway's gone on record to say that he's going to be a little bit more flexible with his bullpen usage. Might not use Familia in the 9th inning necessarily, but that Familia will rack up most of the saves. But we could see Familia in the 8th inning if the middle of the order is due up. He said even maybe in the 7th inning if one of their top hitters is up with the game on the line.
Well,
Hit hard as Jose Reyes scoops it. Throws out Rojas.
The way that most teams do it today is they try to pre-script what they're going to do. So to give you an example at home, folks, let's say that Rhys Hoskins in a one-run game is going to lead off in the 8th inning. Well, maybe you'll see Familia in the 8th instead of the 9th because Hoskins is such a home run threat and Familia is the guy that keeps the ball in the ballpark. So they script what relievers in the bullpen they would like what batters to face. That doesn't always work out, but that's what they try to do.
Braxton Lee singled and stole a base in the first. Takes a strike from Familia. Trying to get back to use his splitter a little bit more than he did last year.
I think last year, just getting off to a late start, he never really, I don't think, got into a rhythm in his season last year. I mean, the splitter's a good pitch, and I think it's one run that you can use 0-2 to head in the count. Yeah. And throw it in the not for a strike, or in a tight situation, throw it for a first pitch instead of someone looking for a fastball. It's definitely an out pitch for him.
If you have sinking life on your fastball, and Familia's lucky enough to throw 95 to 100 and have sinking life, the split finger is a perfect complementary pitch because, you know, what they see out of his hand is sinking action. One's at 97 and one is at 87. Very hard for the hitters to make that. To adapt to that.
Well, I can tell you from firsthand experience, because that was the pitch of the 80s, was the split finger. Just was a very challenging pitch for me.
My question, and this goes for Robert Gesellman too, who's trying to bring his sinker back. If you have a successful pitch, how'd you get away from it in the first place?
Well, I think a lot of times what happens is that young pitchers especially feel as though they've got to add to their repertoire to go to the next level.
Easy fly ball for Dendecker. 2 down.
And you know, that's all well and good, but you have to master that before you can move on. And you know, when you think about a guy like Gesellman or even Familia who can get strikeouts, really they would love to just throw 2 or 3 pitches, have the ball put in play. Gesellman should use that sinker more to put the ball in play and get some more ground balls.
Agreed. And he did his last outing, his first outing of the year. Yeah. I thought he threw real well, and particularly when you got a hard sinker against the right-hand hitter. He's a right-hand pitcher. Pound him with that hard sinker down and in, and he did it his last outing. It was very impressive.
JT Realmuto flied out to right his first time. One of the lasting Marlins. Rounds it right to Jose Reyes. Couple of tries here in a perfect 3rd inning for Jose Reyes. Nicely done by Jerry's Familia. plan. Choose from a variety of 20, 41, and full season plans that include potential 2018 postseason access. For tickets, visit Mets.com/plans or call 718-507-TIXX. Here's Matt Dendecker. 95 from Sandy Alcantara to start the bottom of the third. Dendecker ropes one into right. A leadoff single. The Mets with 4 hits so far against Alcantara.
Interesting early in spring. Alcantara pitching here into the 3rd inning, but pitched 4 innings in his first start as Mattingly is pushing his starters right from the get-go.
Jacob Turner is throwing in the Marlins pen, so we'll see how long Don Mattingly allows Alcantara to continue. The longest reigning manager in the National League East, right there, Don Mattingly.
Wow.
That's right.
Phillies, Mets, and Nationals all have brand new managers. Braves hung on to Brian Snitker a little longer. Big lead for Dendecker at first as Cabrera bounces right into the shift. Rojas standing behind second for 1 and gets the out at first for 2.
Yeah.
Of course, new managers all around the game. Aaron Boone for a team that nearly went to the World Series last year.
Guardians back in the saddle.
Might be piling up the losses though in Detroit. That's going to be a rebuilding team. Alex Cora leading the Red Sox, another team that went to the playoffs last year. Half of those teams went to the postseason last year.
One of the things that graphic has in common: 5 out of the 6 have never managed a big league game.
Mickey Callaway in that group. Cespedes golfing, at least on that pitch, something he's not going to do anymore in season.
That was interesting. You know, I mean, I honestly, someone asked me about it. I had never ever played with an everyday player that golfed during the year. You know, it's too taxing. I mean, to play 150 or 140, whatever you play, and then to go out there and be in the sun, even if you're in a cart and you're playing or whatever. I've heard, you know, starting pitchers do it all the time, but I had never heard of an everyday player doing it, and I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, Sandy Alderson said in the past, bad optics to go out there and be seen golfing ahead of a playoff game or what have you.
Oh, that's a little chin music.
Alcantara shooting the breeze past Cespedes.
I think that was a backup breaking ball.
It was supposed to be away.
Yes.
Ended up and in. Just hard, you know. You play for the Mets, you got a chance. You know, you want to go and play Winged Foot at 10 a.m. It's hard to say no, Wayne. Ooh.
Nice cut. That's okay for the starting pitchers. And off days for a regular. If you want to go play golf, fine. I just think for me, I could not expend any energy during the day when I had a night game that night. I had to save it up. And I was never one to lay out in the pool during the day. I always felt the sun drained your strength.
Listen, when we were,
I used to walk by all the time and see the starters laying out in the pool.
Laid out by the pool. Maybe laid out. I don't know.
Cespedes chases that slider for a second time today. He's 0 for 2 as Sandy Alcantara gets through the third. Evans on the mound. Face middle of the Marlins order. A couple of their regulars. Starlin Castro will lead off. Blevins 6-0 in 2017. The third Mets reliever ever to finish 6-0 or better in a year. First pitch swinging. Castro with a drive that sends Kazmarski back. One pitch, one out.
Well, Jerry probably had one of his finest years in the major league. 69 punchouts and 49 innings for Blevins, who's their specialty lefty. I've heard some talk about him being extended a little bit during the middle of the games, a la Andrew Miller. I don't think that's going to happen. Jerry, to me, is a specialty lefty, and he always will be such.
By far last year the highest strikeout rate of his career at 69 strikeouts in 49 innings.
Have a big shift on Justin Bour, and rightly so. Pull hitter.
Justin Bour takes ball one. Mets have a new right fielder. Zach Bornstein's in the game. Jay Bruce is out, and he's standing by with Steve Gelds.
All right, Wayne, thanks a lot. And Jay, I know we probably made a bigger deal of it than we had to, but how you feeling physically with the foot?
I feel good. I feel good. You know, not perfect yet, but making a lot of strides. Been working with the training staff, you know, doing a great job, and I'll be just fine. I'm good.
All right, well, the arm looked just fine in right field there in the second inning, throwing Maben out. You know, that's something that we don't really ask about and talk about so much, but how much do you work on the defensive throwing aspect in spring training?
Well, I believe it's a big part of your game, and I believe that especially, you know, over the last 3 or so years, it's become, you know, it's come more to the forefront just because of the metrics and analytics and you know, the way that they're valuing players. You know, good arms in baseball have always been at a premium, but I think that now that they're probably seeing how they actually help the team win and help prevent runs, and so it's very important. And Ruben is, you know, has really harped on it a lot, and I think that we're going to do a great job with it.
Jay, last year at this time, there were a lot of questions about your future here in New York. Can you, you know, really think about how this year has gone? And is part of you surprised at where you are at this very moment?
You know, I'm not too surprised. The main reason being that, you know, the dialogue was always there with, you know, as being open to coming back here. You know, they expressed interest in bringing me back. I really enjoyed my time here when I came here. And, you know, you never know how things are going to work out. But I knew this was a team that with a few small tweaks and health, you know, we'd be a contender. And that's a big reason that I came back. You know, Mickey being here, getting to know him in Cleveland was another reason that, you know, was this situation was very enticing to me. And, yeah, I'm happy to be back.
What stood out about your time with Mickey in Cleveland?
He was a normal guy who, you know, chose to create relationships and get to know the players other than just the pitchers. And I believe that, you know, that speaks volumes, you know, when it comes to a pitching coach, because really, you know, I've had some pitching coaches that didn't necessarily do that. And it's not wrong. You know, their priority is the pitchers or are the pitchers. But it's, you know, it's something that I think that you have to have as a manager. You have to be able to create relationships and get to know, you know, everyone and understand how everyone works. And I feel like Mickey did a great job of that.
Jay, good to have you back. Appreciate a few minutes as always.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right. Back to you, Wayne.
Thank you, Steve.
And I will second that motion, Steve. Welcome back, Mr. Bruce.
Gary Cooper hit a home run off of Jason Vargas his first time. And Jay Bruce here, I'm talking about the outfield assists, 91 of them since 2008, the most in the major leagues by any right fielder. He's always had a good arm, and saw him show that off earlier today, throwing out Cameron Maben.
You know, I also think that he and his representation made a nice decision. You know, we were earlier talking about camp jobless. You know, a lot of when this musical chair starts for free agents, you know, sometimes you have to decide to take a seat, and Jay did it earlier than most, and that's why he's got a job here with the Mets.
Garrett Cooper draws the first walk of the game. We saw Neil Walker's brother-in-law. He's here scouting for the Tigers today, Donnie Kelly, and Walker, one of the guys over at that camp here in Florida. And, you know, there's just so many of the free agents that are really feeling afraid right now. They might not get any job. Lucas Duda, lucky maybe to get one. He signed with Kansas City yesterday. But it can't be an easy feeling for those guys right now.
Walker had some pointed words too in discussing You know, I guess teams don't really need someone who's going to give them leadership and home runs and make other players around him better. And he had some really, I think, poignant comments.
Bouncing ball that Jose Reyes takes care of. Goes the short way to Cabrera, handcuffed a little bit, but he hung on to it to end the inning. Jerry Blevins puts up a 0 in the top of the 4th. Yesterday about Lucas already being a franchise hero for the throw that he made, the errant throw in Game 5 of the World Series a few years ago. But
it's cruel.
That is cruel.
Duda took that all in stride, and he'll be a good addition for that Royals team.
It is ironic that he's replacing Hosmer, and Hosmer is the one that made the dash to home to score the run.
And Lucas is unfairly being the guy that sticks out because of his throw. He gets the whole blame of it. There was more than a few mistakes on the infield that caused that run to score.
Zach Borenstein is the batter. Duda had his second 30-homer season a year ago. Hit 13 with the Rays after getting traded. Borenstein at 24 for AAA Reno. He'll likely head back to Nevada this year and be a part of the Las Vegas team.
Boy, big guy like that, he's going to hit some home runs. He is Herculean.
He might be the biggest guy in camp as far as build. He's built like a tank.
Just say I wouldn't want to tangle with him.
Well, you already challenged Justin Bour. Might as well go for all of them.
Borenstein was actually part of Team Israel in the World Baseball Classic last year.
As well as Ty Kelly, correct?
Yes, sir.
They were a great story, weren't they? Started out, what, 3 or 4-0?
And then
Mensch on the bench. Well, you know, then
they fell apart.
Well, I ran into the powerhouse.
Yeah.
Check swing didn't go. Full count on Borenstein. The Angels found out of Eastern Illinois University, which has become a kind of an NFL school. Tony Romo and Jimmy Garoppolo.
Speaking of Romo, when he first started out in the booth, the first couple times I thought he was awful, and by the end of the year I thought he was one of the best, most refreshing voices in the booth in a long while.
Chopper Castro backhands, plants, and throws to get Boardstick.
Ditto here, Keith.
He was calling defenses and plays ahead of before the play was set, and doing the telestrator, which we don't do here. We're not, I don't do that. But I thought he was fabulous.
It was that, and also he had such an enthusiasm, right, for the game that was palpable on the air, and I think it was fun for Jim too, Jim Nantz to, to start over, I guess.
And I guess what better tutorage than to be in the booth with Jim Nantz?
Jim Nantz. Although I do miss, our friend and from our time, Keith, Phil Simms.
Phil's in studio now.
He's in studio now, yeah. But Romo was great.
Why didn't you like him early on, Keith?
I thought he was he had to find us. He was too hilarious, too much of a joker.
Yeah.
And I liked his spontaneity and his exuberance, but he just learned to tone it down and not be such a joker up there. He's got a good sense of humor. But his analysis, oh my gosh, I haven't seen something like that in a long, long while. I thought it was terrific.
Well, rumors are swirling that Peyton Manning's the next one to come out and get behind the mic. See if any network's able to swing him out of retirement. Now, Jay Cutler last year was supposed to work with our friend Kevin Burkhardt.
That's right, but he got a
back
job
to play. Yeah.
Instead, I got to work with Kevin.
You did. That must have been fun, right?
That was great fun. It was good to be working with Kevin again in the postseason.
I saw you had to dodge some champagne, some errant champagne from David Ortiz.
Every day it was something new from Poppy. Trust me. What a piece of work he is. What a character. But I enjoyed hitting with him because we were on basically the same page. He is not one of those guys that thinks about going deep in counts to tire the pitcher out. He's got the club. He'll wear him out that way.
Borderline pitch here on 2-2. Makes the count full for Todd Frazier.
3-2 breaking ball.
Yep, what new?
Well, they respect Frazier's pop. He's got a little smile on his face like, what date is it? March 1st. And a 3-2 slide piece. Yeah. Come on.
Sorry, we'll get you come April, May.
This is Jacob Turner on the mound for the Marlins, former first-round pick of the Tigers. He's with Washington last year for about half the season.
Good pitch.
Brian Anderson's got a strong arm, and he retires Frazier.
But Ronnie, that has been a trend, and I've noticed. And we're up here in a booth, and we watch games pitch by pitch.
Yeah.
I'm seeing more and more behind the count secondary pitches, full count secondary pitches.
The analytics people will tell you that the game has changed to a point where if you see all the teams that are in the upper echelon of teams, they are increasing their breaking ball usage. Secondary pitch usage is going to get more.
That's what Cleveland did with Mickey last year.
Right. And Mickey made that point before spring training started, or early in spring, about the Mets pitchers throwing more breaking balls. So we'll see how that progresses.
And specifically the curveball instead of the slider.
Well, don't throw a get me over curveball. That's all I'm saying. If you can throw a quality breaking ball, great. You just in the big leagues, you cannot throw a get me over breaking ball because you'll get your lunch.
Well, we saw Zach Wheeler struggle with the curveball yesterday. Threw a couple in the dirt for wild pitches coming out of the bullpen behind Matt Harvey in yesterday's game in Orlando.
One of my favorite phrases. Get your lunch.
Ooh, that's a good one right there.
Spinner.
Well, Turner's been one of those guys that I think his entire career, as you see the good breaking ball here to Gonzalez, I think most organizations that have had him are very surprised that he has not become a star. He's 95 plus with a hammer. Just things have not worked out for whatever reason.
Gonzalez rolls it into the shift. Starlin Castro makes it easy, and Jacob Turner goes through the middle of the Mets order with a 1-2-3 inning. We've played 4 in Port St. Lucie. games will receive a custom-designed Mets-themed T-shirt. The first free shirt Friday, April 13th. Mets play the Milwaukee Brewers at 7:10 p.m. and all fans will receive a Jacob deGrom T-shirt. For tickets, visit Mets.com/FreeShirtFridays. A.J. Ramos on the mound for the Mets.
Well, was with this Marlins team for the last few seasons before getting traded over to the Mets late last year. You can see his numbers. When I watch A.J. Ramos, he's got outstanding stuff. I just think he should use his fastball more. Be interesting to see if he does this year.
Whoa. Throws one high and tight to Cameron Maybin.
What a different experience for Maybin, right? On the World Championship Houston Astros last year. Top of the world, and now he's got to be one of the leaders with some of these young players for the Marlins.
Back with the Marlins. Remember, he was with them for a couple of years. As Maybin fouls one off. He won tacos for all of America last year. If you remember in the World Series, he got that stolen base that set off the promotion. Free tacos for the entire country.
I missed out on that. Did you get that, Keith? I mean,
you
were doing
taco?
the games. You must have.
Must have been asleep.
Well, if you're sleeping through their hours, you got some problems. Maybin happy to be back in Marlins camp. Said he didn't even need GPS to find Roger Dean Stadium.
Yeah.
Maybin hits a ground ball. Reyes with a nice backhand pick. Phillip Evans trying to hold the bag at first to get the out.
Boy, Reyes looks very nifty out there today. Really moving well.
Jose can still pick it. Nice backhand, nice and smooth. Still has, most importantly, strong arm. Nice play. There's your defense.
Boy, Phillip Evans is lucky that he did not get hurt there. His foot slipped kind of off the bag, and it almost got stepped on by Maybin.
Evans taking over for Gonzalez at first. David Thompson is now at third base, replacing Frazier. Evans not really a first baseman naturally, more of a middle infielder, third baseman.
Well, there's two reasons that you become a player that they move around a diamond. It's that you are a jack of all trades, master of none, or you have someone in front of you that is playing the position that you're best at.
Nice.
Headed for the gap off the bat of Anderson. Kazmarski chasing it down. Brian Anderson has a double.
Ball scalded right here. Right down the pipe. A ball you can either pull or go with the opposite gap. Drives it into the gap nicely.
Marlins have a man in scoring position against A.J. Ramos. Ramos was really the second big name the Mets, or the Marlins traded last year. Danny Echeverria went first. Then Ramos, and then it was a steady exit once the season ended.
Well, Echeverria went during the season to Tampa Bay. Well, the offseason, boy, it was fire sale.
The Echeverria re-signed with the Royals, didn't he?
Tampa. He's back. I think he's back in Tampa.
Oh, he is. Okay, I thought he signed with the Royals. Oh, I'm sorry. Alcides Escobar signed with the Royals.
Yes, he's back with the Royals.
D. Gordon to Seattle and playing outfield position. Batting champ.
Yeah, Gordon will be center field for the Mariners this year.
Yeah.
There's the big four that got traded, including that entire outfield.
Yes, sir. And that was as good an outfield as there was.
I was going to have good outfield. Milwaukee, they got Lorenzo Cain, too.
That's right.
Ryan Braun's taking some balls at first base this spring.
Domingo Santana in right field, I think, had 30 home runs himself.
A big guy. was the big guy off the bench, the right-hand hitter with the big solid guy that had some pop. It's really terrific off the bench. I can't think of who he is at the moment.
Played some first base.
Yeah, I'll look it up here.
Aguilar, is that right?
Yes, it is.
Jesus Aguilar?
Yes, Aguilar. Very good. Wayne, jeez, got me on the spot. Pick me up.
This will stay in play for Kazmarski. Anderson's going to try for third. He'll make it. Kazmarski's throw way offline. But 2 outs in the inning. Back to the top of the order, and Braxton Lee. Seth Lugo's been throwing in the Mets bullpen this inning. We should see Seth for at least a couple of innings.
Red cheeks.
Out with the grandparents today. Weather has been perfect so far this spring. A little rain the other day, but otherwise it's been like this. 85 and sunny just about every day. Lee takes one up the middle. He drives home a run. A base hit for Braxton Lee, scores Anderson, and the Marlins a 2-1 lead. Now Lee tries for second and makes it easily.
Rips this fastball right up the middle. 20 stolen bases last year, and Kazmarski, oh, he looked up before he had it, and good hustle by Lee. That is all hustle right there. That ball didn't bounce too far away from Kazmarski.
Bounced just enough for Kazmarski to get an error. Lee with such great speed.
You can't make those kind of mistakes. Just kind of took it for granted there when you're trying to impress a manager and you're a minor league player.
Lee is the guy that actually got for Echeverria from Tampa. Real Muto looks at a strike. Big smile out to A.J. Ramos, former Battery mates.
Seeing a lot more catchers built like Real Muto, guys, former infielders that become catchers. I'm thinking of maybe Austin Barnes with the Dodgers, Wilson Contreras with the Cubs. Not that big, huge, hulking kind of catcher, a more athletic catcher.
Barnes, a former Marlins farmhand before he got traded to L.A. We love Real Muto's bat. He's a guy who's improved offensively pretty much every year of his career to this point. Had a very good 2017.
Well, he handles the bat well. He's a line drive hitter, doubles hitter, and he uses the whole field. I like him in the number 2 hole because, as Ronnie said, he's athletic. He can run.
In some ways, that big ballpark works perfectly for him because I don't think he's ever going to be a power hitter unless he played in a smaller park. So there's some nice places out there for him to hit 300.
You hit line drives in that ballpark, you're going to have a lot of success. A lot of wide open spaces in that outfield.
He had 31 doubles last year, 5 triples. Ironically, did not hit well at Marlins Park last year. Only at 227 at home. He had 317 on the road.
Maybe he should stay in a hotel room in Miami.
Plenty of nice.
Maybe he is. Maybe that's the problem. A.J. Ramos walks Real Muto. He's not happy about it. A 2-out walk in front of Starlin Castro. Ramos sometimes has a hard time finding home plate.
Yes, he does.
And he reminds me a little of, not early in his career because K-Rod was so good, but K-Rod, when he came to the Mets, it was almost like he wanted to strike out everyone and fool everyone and would get into a lot of deep counts. And if you're not making your 3-2 pitch, you end up with these kind of situations.
Castro's another guy. We talked about Real Muto wanting out after all the trades. Well, Castro came over from the Yankees and immediately requested a trade elsewhere. And the Marlins are still fielding calls on both of them. It's not as if Castro and Real Muto are set in stone to be on this team 4 weeks from now.
Well, I think you'd get more for Real Muto than you'd get for Castro, even though Castro, since the day he got to the big leagues as a Cub, has been a hitting machine.
I remember that 5-hit debut that he had when he got called up from Double-A.
He's a cut and slasher. He's not a guy who's going to take a lot of walks. He wants to swing the bat.
Led the National League in hits in his second season in the big leagues, did Castro. Puts one toward Zach Bornstein. Bulky right fielder retires the side, but the Marlins score a base hit by Braxton Lee to take a 2-1 lead. Jose Reyes takes a strike to start the bottom of the 5th against Jacob Turner in his second inning for the Marlins. Reyes popped out his first time. Jason Vargas back with the Mets, made his first appearance of this spring, and he's standing by with our Steve Gell.
Thanks a lot, Wayne. Couple of solid innings for the spring debut of Jason Vargas. And Jason, before we get to today's performance, what you're working on, just in general, how's it been so far getting acclimated to a new team, an old organization, but a new squad?
Yeah, it's been great. The energy level has been awesome. You know, I can't say that I've been to a whole lot of camps, maybe a couple where the energy level's been like this, and the excitement level of all the guys in camp to get their work in.
That word energy and excitement, it's something that we consistently hear from the guys in there. Is that, in your opinion, because of Mickey? As he brought something distinct to this spring training?
I think it has a lot to do with that, and I think it has to do with some of the guys wanting to prove what went wrong last year. You know, I wasn't around for that, but you know, just overhearing some of the conversations, you guys got in a real good frame of mind that want to go out there and show the fans what they're capable of and what this team is capable of doing.
Jason, when you signed, you said one of the selling points for you is that you've seen this pitching staff up close and personal, what they can do when they're healthy. Now that you've gotten to work with them on a daily basis, does anything stand out, or is anything different than you even expected?
Yeah, I mean, their commitment to getting better and being the best that they can be, and feeding off each other. You can tell that there's a tight-knit group of the pitchers, and they're by each other's lockers every day, coffee shopping in the morning, just talking about things that friends would talk about, not just being normal teammates who have to be in the same environment together. But you can really see how much everybody cares about each other and how much everybody wants to everybody else to do well as just the way that they do.
So what about for you, Jason? Obviously a veteran in this league, you know how to get yourself ready. What are you trying to do early in spring?
You know, just the same as I always do in spring. When I step in between the lines, it's just to get ready to compete. You know, I don't do a whole lot of working on certain pitches. I kind of just let that fall in as it does, but my main focus is just to get out there and get used to competing and not giving up runs.
You've been in the AL the last number of years. You ready to hit?
I got no choice.
That's not the answer. You got to say yes. Got to say yes. Jason Vargas, I appreciate the time, man. Thanks so much.
You got it. Thank you, guys.
All right, Wayne, back to you.
You know, Steve, I asked Vargas that the other day. He
Yes.
was actually a very good hitter in high school and college. He DH'd some in college, and he doesn't seem excited about hitting. I'm shocked by that.
I think he's just slow-handing you, slow playing you, because he can hit. Long Beach State is where he DH'd. Started at LSU, I believe, and then went to Cypress College and then to Long Beach State. But you know, Long Beach State, that's Longoria, that's Tulowitzki. Players like that go there and he DH for that team. So it's going to be fun to see if he can rake with the other young Mets pitchers.
Yeah, his first collegiate at bat, he hit a pinch hit grand slam. I mean, this is a guy who can swing the bat.
He's just slow playing it. Veteran slow play.
All right. I'll take your word for it. We saw Jose Reyes make the first out of the inning on a very good play by Justin Bohr. Now Kevin Plawecki's the batter who singled his first time. There's Plawecki going the other way again, this time for extra bases. A single to right his first time, a double to right center this time. Kevin Plawecki's 2 for 2.
Well, he's been zeroed in and locked in on that opposite field, and that's been his problem, is pulling too much. He's had trouble with the breaking ball. You go up the middle, you can handle that pitch away. And now you went right down and got that. Very nice.
Now, we saw a different Kevin Plawecki when he came back up at the end of last season. Rojas trying to sneak in behind him, but gave the Mets enough confidence to believe that he and d'Arnaud can take care of the catching duties this year.
I think the hardest thing for aspiring major leaguers is that battle between what the team wants you to do and knowing what kind of player you are. Sometimes it takes younger players a while to figure out really what kind of player am I. And if you keep told, like a Plawecki, hey, you're a big guy, maybe you should hit more home runs. He's not a home run hitter. He's what Keith was talking about. Up the middle, go the other way, get some base hits. Once you recognize what kind of player you are, it makes it a little easier. I mean, if I told you, and I know from reading Keith's book that he went through the same stuff, you know, you get a lot of great advice, but you get some real bad advice too, and really separating the good from the bad is one of the keys early in your career.
Agreed.
That book's coming out soon, huh, Keith?
May 15th is the launch date. I'll be doing a lot of things the week before, a lot of promotional, but it is going to be on the shelves on May 15th. I'm very happy with it. Ron read it.
Yeah,
Ron
yeah.
liked it, but no,
Loved
Ron,
it.
folks, tell me the truth. I mean, I gave Ron the chance to read the book, and what's he going to come to me and say it stinks?
Well, we were going out to dinner, so I figure I have to say it's great until after the dinner. Then maybe I could have. No, it was a fantastic. Keith right now is working with the tennis ball,
right,
to strengthen up that forearm because he is going to be signing,
yes,
and signing some more.
I already signed 3,500 pre-signed, already pre-sold.
And they also give you those little pages that you have to sign, right? And then they insert it later.
Yes. You want me to sign that? That's my children's book.
Hey, look at this. We got a Keith Hernandez written children's book up here.
That was all done for charity.
Yes. Very
First
nice.
base hero.
That was all the writers up at Elaine's. They Josh Caspero, a good friend of mine up there, he had the idea of everybody do a children's book and for charity, and we did. I had a great time doing this.
Kid's right-handed on there, though.
I can give this to Dan Barr, Dan Barr, director.
Yeah,
the
read it to
daughter
Lila.
one of these days. I have some at home, Dan. In New York, not here. Yeah, I'll bring it. Try to remind me, because I'll forget.
Bohr with a backhand. Kazmarski's the second out, but Plawecki advances to third.
Bohr's all world this inning. So
he laid the first one.
Yep, but he still made
nicely.
The play.
What's the title of the new book?
Well,
can you give it away?
It's one of my famous lines. A Charlton Heston line. I'm Keith Hernandez.
And too easy.
And you're not Wayne. Remember that.
That's in small print underneath. Matt Dendecker singled his first time. Mets scored in the first inning. That's been it. Todd Frazier drove home a run with a ground out. Marlins got one off of Jason Vargas. Garrett Cooper homered. Another in the top of this inning. A few base runners against A.J. Ramos. Brian Anderson scored on a Braxton Lee base hit. Likely see Seth Lugo on the mound in the sixth. Dendecker, who will certainly provide some depth at AAA for the outfield there this year, but I gotta say the value that he gave the Mets a few years ago, he's the sole reason why Jerry Blevins has been a part of the Mets for the last few seasons. But it was a straight up trade. Well, Dendecker maybe hasn't blossomed himself into the big leaguer that maybe some thought he could be. I mean, acquiring Jerry Blevins for him was a big coup for the Mets.
Well, Dendecker has really changed. Early in his Mets career, he had a lot of pop. Looked like he was going to be a guy who struck out a lot, but it would hit a lot of home runs. And then he kind of went more into contact mode. Florida Gator, right? Former.
Yes, he was. Not the most famous Florida Gator in the building today, but a Gator nonetheless. Dendecker with the appropriate lowercase letters on the back of his jersey. That was an article from a few years ago. It's from the Wall Street Journal. Kevin Kearse, the Mets clubhouse equipment manager, battling with Majestic to get those lowercase letters for every letter in the alphabet.
What was it, an upside down P?
Yes, it was. It was. Dendecker strikes out and a foul tip into the glove of Talise. This side retired. Milwaukee double, but that was all for the Mets here in the 5th. Elements from spring training, featuring behind-the-scenes video and live updates straight from Port St. Lucie on Mets Blog, featured by City, presented by City, featured on SNY.TV. Seth Lugo in the game for the Mets on the mound. First pitch fastball to Justin Bour. A couple of changes along the way for the Mets. Ty Kelly is the new shortstop. Wilmer Flores is playing second base. And the new catcher is Patrick Mazeika.
Can you spell that for me?
M-A-Z-E-I-K-A.
Just like it sounds.
Mazeika. 2-0. Justin Bour hammers that one. Kazmarski down to a slide to make the catch. A.J. Ramos worked the 5th inning. He's standing by with Steve Gelbs.
All right, Wayne, listen, A.J., for you, last year was a new experience, first ever time being traded. Is it nice to have the ability to take a deep breath and start with this team fresh from the beginning this year?
Yeah, definitely. I get all the inside jokes now that I start here been here from the start now. So no, it's good to kind of start with the team because you kind of build that chemistry, build off from last year, and yeah, it's a good time right now.
You're someone who's always tinkering with something, has a wide array of pitches. Is there anything right now that you're really focusing on?
Just controlling the fastball, which I didn't do that well today. But no, I mean, just controlling the fastball, the cutter, and the two-seam. I threw a pretty good two-seam to one of the kids that hit it to center field, hit it hard. You know, he just put a good swing on it. So yeah, just working on spotting up fastball, up, down, inside, out. So just being better with that. Your fastball usage, speaking of the fastball, was really low last year. I think under 30%. That's not where you're at historically with it. Is there a reason why you went away from it a little bit last year? And are you trying to focus on it more again? Well, I pitched sporadically last year. I mean, I was on two teams that weren't winning so much, so I didn't get that much work in. So at that point of last year, I was more comfortable with my slider. I could backdoor it, I can do anything with it. So I was most consistent with that pitch. So, and the fastball's kind of spitting it all over the place. So when you're like that, you got to go with what works. You got to go with, you know, whatever you have that day. And for most of the time last year, it was the slider. Has Mickey Callaway or Dave Island made any suggestions for
pitch usage with you with the various number of pitches that you do throw?
No, I think they're just watching us pitch right now. They don't know me too well, so they're just watching me pitch, watching how I go about things, and that's I think that's the right approach. You don't try to pick something you don't know about. So they're obviously taking a good look at us, and then I think as we go on to the spring, they'll have a better plan of how they want us to pitch, or how they think we should pitch, you know.
Their plan of bullpen reliever usage is certainly something new, where you don't know exactly when you're going to pitch each and every night. How do you plan on attacking that, just in terms of preparation?
In preparation, probably just get ready earlier in the game, and just stay loose, stay hot, pay attention. I mean, I'm sure as the game starts going on and as the season starts going on, you start thinking along with the manager. You know, you start seeing like the trends of when people are going to pitch or not, so you can kind of get a better idea of when you're going to throw them in. But up until then, it's just play baseball. You go out there. We've been doing this for all our lives. We've been out there, you know, no sleep or whatever, just out there just playing the ball game, and that's what you got to do. Just go out there and play the ball game. You've been playing since you're 5 years old. I mean, it's really not rocket science. Just go out there and throw strikes.
Finally, AJ, early in the spring, you interviewed Michael Conforto. Do you now realize that my job's more difficult than yours?
No, man, it's easy. I can ask any kind of questions, and then they have to answer it, But so no, it was a lot of fun. I like doing that kind of stuff. I like to have a lot of fun. It's a game. Game's about having fun, but you have the most fun when you win. So we'll try to do a lot of that.
AJ Ramos, appreciate the time as always.
No problem.
All right, Wayne, back to you.
No reason to take a shot at Steve. Steve works hard down.
Oh boy, that was a shot across the bow, wasn't it?
I'll defend you, Steve. Seth Lugo. It's a bouncing ball that Phillip Evans handles at first, and a 1-2-3 6 for Seth Lugo. Take a look at what's ahead. Doing a game on Pix 11 Sunday against the Washington Nationals. The Tigers will be here on Monday. Ron Gardenhire's team. The world champion Astros Tuesday. The Yankees Wednesday. Wilmer Flores with his first at bat of the day, facing Jacob Turner in his third inning of work. Turner is the only Marlin that was on the field in the fifth inning that is still out there for the sixth. There's been a line change, Keith.
That looks delicious. Oh, when I go for one of those.
You can get one.
Yeah, I'm sure we can get one up here.
Refreshing. It's hot today. And these SNY shirts we wear, they don't breathe. It's fabric. They're just. It holds the heat.
See Wilmer Flores wearing some further protection along his helmet this year after that foul ball busted his nose in Houston last year.
Really a freak thing that happened. I mean, the odds of that happening again, I have never seen that.
Have you ever fouled a ball that came up and hit you in the face or anything? No.
I haven't.
Wow.
That's why I said it was a kind of a freak injury. I mean, that clobbered his nose too.
And split it right down the middle. Remember?
Gosh. He was lucky. It didn't hit him fully square. Oh, it could have done so much damage.
Well, I have a feeling that as time goes on, you're going to see more and more players with these kinds of helmets.
Knocked down by the shortstop Peter Mooney, but it's an infield single for Flores.
Mooney not showing a lot of athleticism here on this ball. Just didn't get down. I know it was a tough play.
Mooney part of the new Marlins defensive alignment. They've got a whole new crew out there. Cespedes gets his third at bat. Probably asked for one more after Sandy Alcantara struck him out a couple of times.
In the old days, if you were a veteran, after you came out of the game, you do your wind sprints, jump in your car, and head back down to Jupiter.
Oh,
but since they don't have any veterans, no one gets to do that. Everyone's on the bus.
Well, could at least fit Bohr and Real Muto and maybe Castro in one car.
There you go.
Take a ride down. Maben. That is going to be a learning season for the Miami Marlins.
You know what I hated on those trips in Florida was the short trip, especially over the West Coast.
Yeah.
We were in St. Pete. Go play Cincinnati over in Tampa, and you wouldn't shower. You had to get on the bus, change a shirt, and for me, I had to put a windbreaker on because I was so susceptible to getting that sinus infection with the air conditioning.
That's right.
And then you would shower when you got home. And the one thing you wanted to do when you got home off that bus was to get home, back to your condo, and relax.
kind of first world problems there.
Well, veteran problems. little diva.
You guys had a lot of veterans.
Well, veterans, and we had a lot of road trips when we were on the West Coast because there were some trips like to Bradenton and other places where at least an hour plus with that traffic on that side. And, if you were the starting pitcher, your job was to get the fried chicken and the beer for the ride home.
I always hoped to miss Dunedin, which was the Blue Jays, and Sarasota, which was the White Sox then, because it was American League. There was no interleague play. No reason to make that trip. Lakeland was Detroit. Still is, I believe.
Double play ball. Mooney to second for one, and Diaz throws out Cespedes for the 6-4-3 double play. Well, 2 down, and Zach Borenstein will bat against a new pitcher. Don Mattingly is going to remove Jacob Turner from this game after 53 pitches in 2 2/3 innings.
Don is very adept at this.
So Alex Wimmers will be heading into the game for Miami. As the day is done for Jacob Turner, we'll take a timeout. Alex Wimmer is a former Minnesota Twins prospect. Now in Marlins camp trying to get a job.
Just a cup of coffee last year with the Twins, just trying to get through the 6th inning.
Wimmers has appeared in 22 big league games the last couple of seasons. Former first-round pick out of Ohio State. Big wave and a miss by Bornstein. That is the Ohio State University. Marlins, among their changes, entered Eric Campbell into the game. Play first base.
We remember him.
Former Met.
Fondly. Nice guy.
Super guy. Got thrust into some roles maybe the 2015 and 16 seasons where he was in the middle of some lineups trying to fill some holes. Wilmer Flores didn't even realize Eric Campbell was there for a moment.
That was almost a Ricky Henderson moment.
Oh, I know you.
That's funny.
Who are you? Ooh, 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 ooh.
Of course, because his name's Campbell, he's nicknamed Soup, like every other Campbell.
First Campbell I heard called Soup was Bill Campbell, who was a relief pitcher for the Red Sox in the day.
Oh, Bill.
No,
Okay.
the Scroogey and the straight heater. Used to save games for the Red Sox in maybe the 80s.
Middle infielder, backup infielder for the Padres, Dave Campbell.
That's right.
Was the radio voice of the Padres back in the day. Good guy.
Bornstein strikes out 10-6 against Alex Wimmers. This kid's enjoying himself on a lovely day in Port St. Lucie. Second inning of work for Seth Lugo facing Monte Harrison to start the 7th. High heater from Lugo. Harrison is one of the top prospects now for the Marlins. He was one of the big names in the Milwaukee trade for Christian Yelich along with Lewis Brinson. Harrison is a freak of an athlete. He's a 3-sport star in high school.
That's right.
Was recruited to play wide receiver at the University of Nebraska. Chose baseball instead.
It's an interesting article today. The former Cubs pitcher and now San Francisco pitcher talking about his decision, his wide receiver at Notre Dame, to play baseball instead of football. And he said a lot of his guys that he played football with are not playing anymore, and he's still playing because, you know, the concussion issues and all that kind of stuff. Jeff Samardzija,
of course. He made the the ultimate baseball versus football decision, considering that he was going to be highly paid in both sports.
That's right.
Harrison strikes out Lugo with a nice sinking fastball. Watch SNY Mets games on the go on any device with live streaming presented by Verizon. Just visit SNY.TV or download the NBC Sports app today for live streaming coverage of every SNY Mets game. It's Christian Adames.
Albuquerque Isotopes. I remember when I was in Double-A, we used to go to Albuquerque, and they used to have all like cheerleaders on top of the dugouts. Really? Just, oh yeah, crazy. And the ball used to fly out of there. No one wanted to pitch there.
It's up in the Southern Rockies, right?
They were the Dukes when you were going.
It was the Dodgers farm system for ages. Tommy Lasorda managed in Albuquerque for years, waiting for Walter Alston to finally call it quits.
Terry Collins was there, waiting for Lasorda to call it quits, and he never did. So Terry had to find work somewhere else.
That's right. That's why he went to the Pirates organization, right?
Yeah, and he coached for Jim Leland there, and then eventually managed the Astros.
The California Angels.
Easy bouncer for Wilmer Flores. 2 down.
What are they called now, the Angels?
They're the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
I thought they dropped the
I thought they dropped it.
No, they still have it.
They still have it?
Officially, they're still of Anaheim.
Well,
that's a little silly, isn't it?
Yes.
Trying to tap into that market, LA market.
That's right. Well, yeah, they still play in Anaheim, of course, still play in the same stadium they always have.
That's Orange County. That's their fan base.
Seth Lugo's retired all 5 batters he's faced so far.
Nice.
They'll make it 6 for 6, fielding his own position to retire the side. Time to stretch in PSL. Experiences. Right now, we're accepting applications for local youth baseball and softball leagues to nominate a league in need. Apply today at sny.tv/playball.
See the numbers for Brett Graves in the minors. That was with the Athletics. He was selected Marlins from the Athletics in the Rule 5 draft. So if he stays with the Marlins, he's got to stay in the major leagues.
He's barely pitched above Double-A. Only 7 appearances at the Double-A level last year. He was with Midland.
Oh, Midland, Odessa. I've been there. The Texas League. Oh.
He was also a Stockton Port at the beginning of last year.
Stockton's like Paris compared to Midland.
Midland, all I remember is oil derricks and flatland and heat.
You were with what, Tulsa?
No, that was Little Rock in the
Yeah.
Texas League then.
That was a heck of a bus trip, right?
Ooh, one of many.
David Thompson, it's a ground ball that Isan Diaz makes it out of. The batter Phillip Evans had a good year at AAA, got some big league time at the end of last season.
Number 72, first baseman Phil Evans.
I don't know why I'm keeping such a meticulously neat scorecard today.
High fly ball off the bat of Evans, sending all the way back to the wall. Shuck and a leap, and it's gone. Phillip Evans ties the game with a home run just out of the reach of J.B. Shuck.
Hanging breaking ball, Keith.
Well, Evans stays in, batting champion in Double-A a couple years ago. Last year in Triple-A, had a little bit of nagging injuries, got off to a slow start, but had a much better second half. He is a hitter, a little powerhouse, very powerful, and he got that one.
Batter now, Ty Kelly takes ball one.
Whenever I see Ty Kelly at the plate, I always think of, and only Keith and I will remember this, Dick McAuliffe for the Detroit Tigers with that stance he has, those hands right close to his head, although McAuliffe had a wide open stance.
He had the most open stance I had ever seen in a ball player, major league player, even a minor league player in my lifetime, my career, Dick McAuliffe.
Who would be more contemporary, but there's no one that's ever had a stance like that, so he can't.
Ty Kelly coaxes a walk. Brings up Patrick Mazeika. Mazeika out of Stetson University. Mets found a pretty good pitcher out of there.
Yes, they did.
Jacob deGrom's back is feeling better. Hoping to get himself on target for opening day. Penciled in, you'd figure, as the opening day starter.
Step out, step out, step out. Ask for time. Sorry. I got a little carried away.
What did you think you're on the field again? Previously, Mickey Callaway did some good work with a pitcher from right-hander from Stetson too.
Yeah, Corey Kluber. Pretty good conference. Chris Sale went to Florida Gulf Coast, that same baseball conference. Mickey Callaway ready to lead the troops. Everybody appreciative so far of Mickey's communication skills.
Today's game, that's got to be part of your resume.
A big part of it.
Red Shandy's, I was lucky if I got one word out of him in a week.
How about Whitey? Was he a
Whitey was a yapper. Whitey was right out of a Faulkner or a Mark Twain book.
Yeah, I mean, Boston, you look at the change they made with Alex Cora. Yankees and Aaron Boone wanting guys who are just going to be able to communicate with players. That's it. That was criteria number one.
It's just amazing in this communication age.
Well, I mean, the more social media and communication that we have, the less communication we have with each other, because we're all paying attention to our device.
I hear you.
Which is fine with me.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm perfectly fine. I was always afraid to ask a girl out for a date. If I lived in today's time, when I was in my early 20s, I wouldn't have to ask a girl out for a date. I just text her.
You did all right.
Right to the first baseman, Eric Campbell.
Nice.
Second for the out there and got it back for the double play. That was a force out at second base. He had not tagged the bag yet. The Marlins turn 2. Phillip Evans. It's a homer to tie the game.
Nice choice of music, guys. Oh, very intellectual.
Street corner music.
Love it.
In the day.
Brings back memories. 57 Chevys. Souped up.
Yeah, were you a greaser, Keith?
No, I was not a greaser. Oh, well, I didn't have a say. My mom. We used to put remember the butch wax? Or am I going too far back? The flat top with fenders with the butch wax. Mike remembers.
So did you have the leather jacket?
No.
Collar turned up?
I was like more of the beaver cleaver.
Oh,
nobody believed
than
that.
Fonzie.
Oh, that never.
Than Fonzie. Right. No, I wasn't. They were always ahead of me. I was kind of the younger guy there when everybody had the souped up Corvettes and the 57 Chevys.
Nice pitch by Seth Lugo. He's looked great today. J.B. Shuck strikes out.
Well, he's had it all. He's had a strikeout on a sinker down and in. Here, a good breaking ball. That full Shuck.
Well, what's good about stretching Seth out to 3 innings is with his tender with his elbow condition, so he must be ready to go. Very impressive outing.
It remains to be seen where Lugo ends up to start the season if everybody's healthy. You got to figure he's what, 8th, 9th, 8th or so on the starting pitching depth chart.
You know, but he's not a diva. He's just he's one of those guys that buys into just being excellent and tell me where I'm going to pitch, I'm ready to go. You don't have to really worry about him, and that's a good thing.
If he doesn't crack the there's his numbers from last season. If he doesn't crack the rotation, you know, he's ideal middleman. I think the middle reliever is coming back in today's game, particularly now with managers. Another strikeout right there and a good breaking ball. You saw how Dave Roberts managed those Dodgers in the World Series, pulling pitchers in the fifth inning. So I think middle relief is going to be more important. Guys that can come in and chew up 3 innings.
The Mets will take one guy who can do that. Maybe that's Lugo, maybe that's Gesellman, maybe that's Zach Wheeler. But one pitcher likely will make the team in that type of role. And the other 1 or 2 will have to stay stretched out at AAA if everybody's healthy.
Stay stretched out, and the Mets will use that 10-day DL to the max. That's what a lot of teams have done.
Well,
back to the 50s. You had a 59 what Chevy something, didn't you?
oh, I had I had a '60 Corvette.
Oh, that was
wish
a
I'd never got
dream
rid of it.
car. Love that car.
Do you know what the my first 45 record I bought was?
Oh, what?
The Purple People Eaters.
Oh, yes, of course.
That was my first 45 hit
Why don't you sing a bar?
Well, that was a little silly, that song, don't you think? And the Peppermint Twist.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
The name of a dance goes like this.
Yes. Silly songs.
This is Isan Diaz at the plate. Another one of those Brewer farmhands that came over in the Christian Yelich trade.
A 2-1 breaking ball by Lugo there to get back in the count. He's got it all working. See if he can punch him out an inside heater. See if he goes inside. No, back outside.
Seeing Lugo attack more at the fastball today, it seems like.
Just, you know, he has a real idea how to get hitters out. You know, he's a year removed from, you know, getting that bad news after the World Baseball Classic last year about his elbow, and, you know, just pitch excellent until, you know, something physically happens. Don't worry about it.
This is Barrios, the left fielder, giving up on that ball as Diaz knocks it off the wall. Patrick Biondi throws it in. Isan Diaz just missed a home run.
Well, the wind is blowing out to left field. Not strong, but enough here. Little guy. Ball carried out there.
And you have to be able to recognize that's a can of corn during the season at just about any ballpark.
He got in on him a little bit. He inside out of that a little bit.
So Eric Campbell with a shot here. Eric Campbell was a Tiger, a Japanese Tiger in 2017. Didn't play a whole lot, 21 games in the Central League. Now back in the States, finding a home with the Marlins. If he doesn't make the team, maybe AAA New Orleans in his future. Goes the other way to bring home a run. Borenstein takes a tumble and right as Diaz scores. Campbell gets to second. He's thinking about 3. Flores the relay. Eric Campbell's into third safely. The Marlins take the lead on Eric Campbell's RBI extra base hit.
2-out triple here. And we've seen Campbell enough. He loves that ball away and goes the other way nicely. Borenstein here kind of muffs it a tad, and wasn't going to matter. The run was going to score anyway.
It's a double for Campbell.
Ooh.
Borenstein gets an air for his
Double E9.
acrobatics. And here is Scott Van Slyke, former Dodger, who of course is Andy Van Slyke's son.
Well, Scott, always in the numbers game in Los Angeles. They always seem to have too many outfielders over there. Did not get as much playing time. He's got some real pop. And his dad was an excellent player. Great speed. Could do a lot of things on the ball field.
I'm sure Keith is aware of his connection to Andy Van Slyke. Are you?
What was my connection?
You got traded to the Mets, and Andy Van Slyke came up. Take
you
your
took
spot.
my spot in the roster?
Yes, he did.
They didn't call up a field mouse to take my spot.
Van Slyke gets this ball a long way, but Biondi tracks it down in deep center.
Hey, Campbell, welcome back to the
So the Marlins get a run. As we enjoy the beach here in South Florida.
I'll enjoy the music.
(3-2) Miami after Eric Campbell's RBI double put the Marlins on top in the top of the 8th. Patrick Biondi takes a strike to start the bottom of the 8th.
Well, the shadows are creeping. They're not taking effect yet. It's not a negative on the hitter. They're too close to home plate to have any negative effect. Oh, got him. Did he get him? Nope.
Doesn't look like it. Tom Woodring not making any movement for Patrick Biondi at the plate here.
I don't know how it missed him.
Skipped right over. Biondi, 27 years old. Went to the University of Michigan.
That was a strike that the catcher missed.
Yeah, Brian Holiday behind the plate. Veteran catcher.
Tigers, right?
Yeah. Full count on Biondi as Brett Graves is in his second inning of work. Just 4 pitchers used by the Marlins today. Alcantara got 3 innings. Turner 2 2/3. Wimmers faced a batter. Now Graves in his second inning.
Yeah, it's a very unusual line for pitchers in spring training.
back up the middle, but Mooney handles it behind the bag. 1 out.
The ball was hit better than it was, but off the mound.
Our next broadcast on SNY will be on Monday. Ron Gardenhire back in business as a big league skipper. He's got his Detroit Tigers coming over from Lakeland. It's the Mets and Tigers Monday at 1 o'clock.
It'll be nice to see Gardy.
Sure.
We just got a text, you and I, Ronnie, from our former teammate and former Met, Barry Lyons. He's just had right knee replacement surgeries in a hospital bed watching the broadcast. Barry, wish you well. That's going to be, you must be hurting a little bit right now. That's not an easy surgery. We wish you all the best.
Arnaldo Barrios gets robbed by Christian Adames. 2 up, 2 down. I saw Barry playing in the Mets fantasy camp about a month ago or so. Yeah. He walloped one almost out of the park.
Really?
Must have been feeling good then.
I've never made it to one of those fantasy camps.
You know,
I know that the folks that go just have a blast. Other than, you know, the pulled hamstring and other injuries that occur, they have a blast with some of the ex-players.
Wilmer Flores takes low from Brett Graves. Flores singled his first plate appearance today. Dwight Gooden was in fantasy camp this year.
When do they have that? Like in January?
Yeah, like late January.
Okay.
There's Dr. K.
I saw Dwight a couple of times this winter. He looked fantastic. So Barry Lyons, mattress, is on a mattress, listening to us.
You know, he never liked being called that.
Well,
he had to take it, though.
That's Eric Campbell ranging way over to field. That bouncer off the bat of Flores. And a 1-2-3 bottom of the 8th as we head to the 9th. The Mets down 1. Get the inside scoop as the best baseball writers in New York break down all the latest Mets and Yankees spring training news, plus game recaps, live reports straight from camp on Baseball Night in New York, presented by Tri-State Cadillac Dealers tonight at 6. Only on SNY. Patrick Biondi retires Brian Holiday to start the 9th inning.
against new pitcher Corey Taylor on the mound for the Mets. Spent last year at Binghamton.
We saw him 2 years ago. He had an outstanding year. Came back to the field a little bit last year. Corey's not a big strikeout guy, strike thrower.
He's the type of pitcher who challenges hitters, gets his outs quickly. Monte Harrison bats, takes a strike. Harrison leaves this one up for Bornstein. Gets under it, puts Harrison away. So 2 quick outs for Corey Taylor here in the 9th inning.
Now batting number 26, third baseman Christian Adames.
Christian Adames grounded out his last time up. And grounds this ball into right field. A base hit for Adames. Couple of 2-out doubles in the 8th inning against Seth Lugo that gave the Marlins the lead in this game. One of them by Eric Campbell, former Met. I'm sure that had to feel good, even though it's a spring training game for Campbell.
Sure. You can blame it on us. As soon as we started singing the praises of Mr. Lugo, gave up a couple of hits. Put the kibosh on him.
Kayabunga.
The first had him leaning, but he's safe.
Nice move by Taylor. Quick, accurate.
Did you have a good pickoff move?
Oh, did he ever? He and Joaquin Andujar and John Denny.
John Denny had
a good one.
What's the key secret for a right-hander, Ron?
I think you have to change. I mean, it would really became where you had to become good at holding on runners because of those mid-80 Cardinals were so fast. If you didn't, they would run you out of the building. What's the key? Initially in my career, it was quick feet, accurate throw. Keith also was able to really, if you just threw it right on the bag, he would apply the tag. And then later in my career, I developed the block move. Then it made it easier.
Which was what? What did you do different?
I would like just break my front knee just a tiny bit. So to the runner.
By break, you mean bend.
Bend it. And for runners, as soon as that bends, that tells them they can run.
Right.
So if you give a quick bend and then throw over there, they're toast.
Yes, okay. That's like cheating at first base.
Yes, of course.
So for you folks out there who don't get that, as a base runner and a base stealer, when a right-hander bends that knee, he's gearing to throw. He's got to drive home off that right leg off on the mound. So he has to bend to do that from the stretch. When he picks off, he's got to step off the rubber, correct, Ron?
Yeah. But also, in those days, you used to get, not those days, you get it now, but people are more reluctant to do it. You used to be able to get a lot of pickoffs at second base. Guys fall asleep on second base.
Fall asleep because they don't do it enough.
Yeah.
Two bouncer for Wilmer Flores. Corey Taylor with a scoreless top of the 9th inning. Last chance for the Mets. They need 1 to tie and 2 to win.
Coming up tonight, 10:30, Geico Sports Night with the latest from Mets camp, Jets and Giants combine updates, and whatever's going on in the world of college basketball. Big Ten tournament at Madison Square Garden this week.
You give those football guys a chance to like recuperate?
You think our colleague Gary Cohn's recuperated after that tough loss? Seton Hall by overtime, by a point to Villanova.
We got plenty ahead. Some big games, Big East tournament coming up.
That's right.
Seton Hall will certainly be in the field of 68. So
Doesn't roll off the tongue as well as 64, does it?
Doesn't. Travis Darno reaches out. Eric Campbell near the line, bobbles. And still has time to get the out at first.
Made it interesting. Two hands, that would not happen. Nice play by the pitcher there. I could run him over. There was a day there were people that would run that pitcher over.
Not in spring, but yeah. Oh,
within your rights to do it too, you know. But it's kind of cruel.
Here's Zach Borenstein. Jay Bruce started in right field, played just a few innings, had a double in his only at bat. Borenstein swinging through that breaking ball from Graves. Some news on Anthony Swarzak we should pass along. Swarzak left the game the other day with a left calf strain, and that's what the MRI confirmed. Doesn't seem to be a serious situation involving Swarzak.
You got to be careful with calves. Better to get these out of the way early. I know you fans out there, Met fans are probably going, oh my gosh, just please keep the positive vibes coming. Think positive.
Borenstein takes strike 3. No big injuries really yet. Smith with a strained right quad. We haven't seen Juan Lagares play yet because of his hamstring, but he'll be in there soon.
Boy, good pitch by Graves. Painted that inside corner. Yeah, you know what? Every spring training is going to have the same little aches and pains from guys who, you know, work out religiously, but, you know, there's no working out like taking ground balls and turning double plays and all that.
Mooney can't get it with a dive. David Thompson keeps this game alive. And now the potential winning run at the plate. Phillip Evans hit a homer his last time.
Hit it off Graves too, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Yes,
Graves
he did.
came on in the 7th.
Hanging slide piece.
Not enough Patrick Mooney around to get that ball.
The second one that got by him on the left.
Let's see if Evans can crank one and some fans down I-95 happy. Evans parked one just out of J.B. Shuck's reach for his home run in the 7th. Tied the game at that point. Marlins took the lead back in the 8th.
Evans, to me, with his stance, it just looks like a hitter to me. I really like him.
He did okay when the Mets brought him up toward the end of the year. Batted .303. That one gets away. Thompson's going to get an extra base. Maybe 2. He made a big turnaround second, but he'll stop there. Wild pitch, and the tying runs in scoring position.
A little mistake by the veteran catcher there. Tried to backhand it instead of block it.
Come on, you got to block that ball. It's the tying run at second base now. It's a little on the lazy side.
Evans made his first big league start September 17th in Atlanta. Had an RBI double in that game against the Braves. Pickoff attempt at second. Thompson back in.
Good timing there by the pitcher and second baseman. There's no daylight play, right? You can see it as a pitcher, and as soon as the second baseman goes, you just try to time it and make an accurate throw. Just keep Thompson one step closer to the bag.
Braves getting the paintbrush out to make it 2-2.
There's Mickey Callaway on the left, Gary DiSarcina on the right. Bench coach.
Oh, one's off the glove of Holiday, and Thompson takes third.
Wow.
The shadows may be messing up. Holiday has had a couple go off his glove.
Either that or he's a boxer. Holy cow, on the bench in the old days, I'd be saying box it and send me a dozen.
No, you're right. We're always talking about the hitter not being able to see. We never talk about the catcher and umpire, so maybe we'll cut him a break.
Bizarre to see a veteran catcher like Holiday having these issues.
It's a tough inning for him.
Oh, one more of those would tie the game. Just missed, and the Mets have the winning run aboard.
Trying to throw the old 3-2 breaking ball. Then you got to go ahead and run on base. Double wins the ball game.
Evans has good, not great speed at first.
Boy, big hole between first and second base for Kelly.
Yeah, no fooling.
Whoa.
Coming in, too. And he, whoa. Missed that one by around the length of Wilt Chamberlain there, around 7-1.
Remember, Graves to stay in the big leagues. He's a Rule 5 draftee, so getting a little longer look here by Don Mattingly and his staff.
Pitch number 45 for Graves on the afternoon. Holiday smothered that one, keeping the tying run at third.
All of a sudden, Mr. Graves is having a hard time making his pitches with a little tighter situation. Nice block there by Holiday.
Kelly got a piece on 2-0, but couldn't do much with it. Ty Kelly in his third straight spring training with the Mets, even though he played most of last year elsewhere. A couple of different organizations.
Yeah, Toronto and Phillies, correct?
That's right. Bouncer foul. I'll never forget Ty Kelly having one of the few hits the Mets got in the wild card game against Madison Bumgarner in 2016.
Syndergaard was great that night. Bumgarner a little better.
Syndergaard got lifted early. Bumgarner stayed for the final act.
3-2. Evans will get a head start.
Kelly has such a great eye. It's hard really to just bounce a ball and think he's going to swing at it. But this changes it up, like you said, Wayne. Evans on the move.
Mazika on deck if Kelly continues things. Holiday trying to cheer Braves along to get this final out. And Ty Kelly stays alive. Campbell with a clean pick. Nets will have a split squad tomorrow. They play the Nationals here in Port St. Lucie tomorrow afternoon, and then the Astros in West Palm Beach tomorrow night.
Are we not televising tomorrow?
No, we're not. Next televised game will be on Pix 11 Sunday. The Mets playing the Nationals then.
We were until they heard this broadcast.
I did my best.
Not you, Wayne. Not you.
Kelly with a roller into the Marlins bullpen. Severino Gonzalez who scooped that up. Tavi Guerra, I believe.
This guy got an out pitch here.
I think we would have seen it by now, Keith. Evans getting some sprints in with the sun blazing on him. He'll run again on 3-2. Check swing. They're going to say strike 3. Home plate umpire Tom Woodring rings up Ty Kelly. And Brett Graves finds a way out of it here in the bottom of the ninth.